I had a little story I wanted to tell, and it's about a raven that got in trouble. It was probably a good 10 or 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And there was some ravens that had nested not very far from my house. And is that, after that little, they made a nest, and then there was a young raven, and I could hear that young raven hollering all summer long. And it's pretty easy to tell the difference between a grown raven and a young baby raven, especially one still in the nest. So it got to be up towards the end of the summer, and that young raven had learned to fly. Well, I go outside, and the raven's just outside, but out, not too far out my front door, but a little ways out my front door where I usually turn my truck around. And it just, I'm walking around, and it doesn't, it's just walking around too, and that was just way too close, for a young raven or a raven to be to a human, because they usually are, at least out in the country like where I do, they won't let you get that close. If they see you, they leave or smell you. A raven can smell like you wouldn't believe. I mean, they can smell something. They can fly, 30, 40 yards up, and they smell something, they'll circle right back. I mean, it doesn't have to be much either. It's unbelievable how well they can smell. I got a story on that also. So anyway, that young raven was just hanging out, and I thought, it would be easy to catch if I wanted to catch it. I could rig me up a little trap of some kind, and probably have it caught pretty soon, pretty fast, And I was still outside, and all of a sudden, those parent ravens came back. They were off somewhere, and they came back, and they went to hollering, cawing at that young raven, and it took off and flew, and they all went back to the nest. And I mean, there was a commotion went on. I mean, that the mother and father raven would just caw, talking all kinds of, making all kinds of different noises and things. I mean, they could even sound like water dropping off, like a little waterfall or something, It's unbelievable the noises that a raven can make. And they live like 30-some years, too, so they got a long life for a bird. And anyway, I thought to myself, that young raven got in trouble. Its mom and dad are scolding it for being that close to me. So I went to bed. The next morning, I get up, and I don't know how early it was, but I went outside, that morning, and that young raven is all the way down at the end of my driveway, 3 times farther than it was the day before. And just as soon as I went outside and it saw me, it cawed and took off flying. So that, that kind of confirmed it for me. That raven did get in trouble, for being too close. And its mom and dad had to educate it a little bit. So don't tell me they can't communicate with each other. I know better. Well, that was a little story, and I'm sure I'll have another one.